my favorite movie ever made was made by people. What kind of people, you ask? People with a passion for a world, a made-up world where there exist superheroes. A passion for a story about a struggling family, and a passion to make a movie so inclusive, so daring, so incredible. Let me tell you about a movie that opened my eyes to what film could be. A film, no, a piece of art, finely crafted and painstakingly molded to portray life, and the pursuit of one's own happiness within that life, along with the relationships that come with it. So basically, this is all to say that this movie is a great example of an all-in-one special in terms of theming and real, true character work, and it's bold enough to tackle issues way beyond those found in typical animated movies from other studios, including Disney itself. Now sit back and allow me to tell you about The Incredibles. The Incredibles is my all-time favorite movie, and a lot of that is due to nostalgia. I can't claim to just forget my childhood love for this movie, and it will always be present and therefore skew my subjective view of it for as long as I am alive. Nobody can forget their own nostalgia for something so near and dear to them, but what we can do is acknowledge that it's there and try to look at the medium from as critical and objective a view as humanly possible. That said, I will point out flaws in the film where I see them, and I'll also give credit everywhere it's due. This movie is a true masterclass in telling a human story, and it brilliantly grounds the colorful, vibrant lives of superheroes down to the everyman level. This is also why I love Spider-Man, but that's totally off topic. The Incredibles came out on November 5th, 2004, and was directed by Brad Bird, a friend of Pixar's founding father, John Lasseter. This was Pixar's sixth released film, right off the heels of the 2003 phenomenon, Finding Nemo. Pixar was doing something no one had ever seen before, and that was make hit after hit after hit, and The Incredibles was no exception to that. Bird had a vision for the film almost immediately, and it's clear in the final cut of the film. What if superheroes had normal lives? His style was spread all over the movie, and coupled with Michael Giacchino's fantastic score, this movie hit my 6-year-old self like a truck. I remember always popping it into my dad's VCR and watching it over and over again. But why did this movie work so much for me? What kept me coming back so frequently? It wasn't just one or two characters or just one or two scenes, no. This movie was teeming with life. From the colorful characters, animation style that Pixar was already famous for, kicking music and action scenes, and dialogue that felt true to life. As a kid, I didn't immediately have an appreciation for all of these things, but looking back, I can say that the older I got, the more this movie stood out to me. Let me tell you what I mean. So The Incredibles is set mostly in 1962, and it's a story centered around, first, a man on top of the world saving the day as a day job under the name Mr. Incredible, and later the story focuses on a family of 5. All of them have superpowers and are trying to figure out how best to use them in a very quiet and normal world. One without villains with evil plans or crime happening every 5 minutes. A world without supers. The fallout from certain heroics and the effect on society sparked a powerful movement of citizens tearing down the necessity for heroes. No more protection or mass heroism. Outlawing superheroes turns the world upside down for Robert and Helen Parr, 2 supers who live their early lives busting crime and cleaning up the city on a daily. These 2 people fall in love and raise a family in a changed, unfamiliar world. Each member of the Parr family is taught to succumb to the norms of society and suppress their unique abilities, until they are thrown into a plot of a past Mr. Incredible fanboy that plans on revitalizing the need for supers by acting like the greatest hero ever, with the help of his technology. Each member of the family learns that being different is what makes each one of them special, and it's a line said by Helen early on in the film to Dash. This line doesn't hit home until the end of the movie, when it becomes apparent that everyone, no matter how different from the rest, can make a difference.
You know, I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said.
In terms of characters, our protagonist is Robert Parr, or Mr. Incredible, now a father of 3, working as an insurance agent in a tiny cubicle, sort of hating life. He longs for the days of the past, stopping villains and saving the day. The effect of outlawing superheroes is very real for Bob, and he even dedicates a room in his house to Mr. Incredible memorabilia, a sort of safe space for him. His wife Helen deals with the change much better. She is a stay-at-home mom taking care of 3 kids and has a healthier view on her days of hero work. She's able to see past it and look to the future of her family, and Bob can't take his eyes off the old days. A scene involving the 2 arguing over what's important for their family is one of my favorite scenes in the history of film. Helen gets mad at Bob for saving people in a burning building, which eventually comes crashing down. She tells him that his head is in the old days and needs to be here and now, where his family is, where his future is. It's here that we see as an audience that Bob cannot handle his new mundane life, and dreams of something grandiose and rather nostalgic. We see that sadly, his family isn't enough for him, and he goes on a journey throughout the movie that he eventually grows from. He understands that he shouldn't miss the time he has with his wife and kids dreaming about what was. This is a kind of true character development that can almost single-handedly carry a movie. At least to me, I enjoyed watching this man go through the ups and downs of life, and really it's just super relatable. As an audience, we see Bob in his early days and now in the present day, and both time periods are extremely dynamic and contrast one another very well. Set in the 40s, the colors of the city invoke the style of early superhero cartoons like Batman the Animated Series or the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. The many years of stopping robbers and saving suicidal jumpers are shown with grandiosity, clearly a time where Bob was in his prime. He was well known and well regarded by citizens and police, and even the bad guys and villains even knew to fear him. He found love with Helen, known to the world as Elastigirl, and he even had a fan club, one he wasn't very fond of. Absolutely nothing was tying this man down in life. He was doing what he loves and what he thought was his role in life, and in the beginning of the film it seems like nothing can bring Bob down from the mountain he's on. Compare all of that to the plain, beige-colored, day-to-day slog of daily life, and you have a very stark difference between the two major points of Bob's adult life in the film. This is a person who now hates his job, can't connect with his kids, and can't fit in with the average citizens who are used to the daily grind of boring work and traffic during commutes. Life has taken Bob in a total 180, all because the government banned supers and thus took away the world he knew and loved. Now all of that is to say that Bob eventually finds that though his life isn't how he thought it might go, he understands that the things he has like his family and friends are something he shouldn't miss out on, despite the difficult shift in his reality. This is the most important thing to me in this movie. The dynamic characters make the film feel so real, like well-written dialogue in the argument between Bob and Helen, or how Dash and Violet communicate as siblings. Of course, the animation is spot on for 2004, and watching as a child was a visual field day. The art style looks to have been based on mostly primary colors, and looking at the sequel Incredibles 2, I can safely say that that's true. This style lends a vivid pop to the action, like Dash running on water for the first time or Mr. Incredible fighting the Omnidroid in the volcano. For 2004, this animation quality was the best that Pixar had ever shown off. Certain effects like Frozone's ice or Violet's force fields were a challenge to pull off visually, but Pixar, as always, got it done. Real quick, in terms of themes. Family. Yeah, family is easily the biggest one, but right behind that it's easy to see that the importance of honesty with the ones you rely on, and nostalgia, has a big thematic presence as well. Nostalgia is something that Bob struggles with nearly the whole film, and in turn, makes Helen think about it too. And the lack of honesty from Bob to his wife is a big one. Once Bob gets fired, he tells Helen that he got promoted instead so he can live out his hero days once more, and the influx of money and a new car begins a worry in her that he isn't telling her everything. Along with that eensy-weensy bit where Helen thinks Bob is cheating on her. Yeah, big adult stuff in this here kids movie. The Incredibles was a movie of my childhood. As I got older, I began to pay more attention to the themes and dialogue upon every rewatch. And then it hit me that this is the greatest movie ever made, with absolutely no nostalgic bias whatsoever. Yes, well, it's a good movie. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video.